It is the first thing in your morning, Bridget and Nick, and I know Bridget is going to be so upset that she missed this opportunity to talk this
Yeah.
morning. We've got Tom Gamble from In-Game Sports. How are you this morning, sir?
Nick, I'm wonderful. I'm better than the weather forecast, and we can only hope wherever Bridget is going, she gets better directions than she gets. That's all I got.
Well, I think
That's all I'm saying, my
she's
friend.
on a plane, so I don't think she has a say in the direction. So hopefully that'll work out for her. But before we get to any of the recaps, we
Yes.
mentioned the weather. I mean, it may get kind of dicey tonight.
Well, Nick, and you use the word that's every athletic director's nightmare, may, because it's like that old baseball in the spring. Do you call it off based on a forecast? And you really, in football, Nick, in baseball, you can move them around. You can't. You've only got really one day of flexibility in football. And everybody, when they go, just bump it to Saturday morning. Well, think about if it's homecoming tonight, if it's senior night. Saturday, you've got JV. You might have cross-country invitationals, other things going on.
Right.
So this is one of those where, depending on the atmosphere, you know what I mean? It's just going to be rain. Rain sucks for a fan. I think the players like it. But it's
so
more
much
that
fun.
lightning storm delays where you have to 30 minutes from the last strike, and then it turns into a nightmare of a night. And what if you back it up and you have to move it to Saturday? It's not going to be a good night to be an AD, but let's just hope, as we've seen before, that the forecast is inaccurate.
Yes, let's hope we can get those games in tonight. And let's talk about what happened last week real quick in the Skyline Chili Crosstown Showdown presented by Mercy Health Orthopaedics and Sports Medicine and Meijer. Colerain and Hamilton.
And yeah, Colerain Hamilton, and I got to tell you, Colerain's still right in the thick of it in the GMC. They've only got one defeat. They host Lakota West tonight, and West trying to set up an undefeated regular season GMC matchup with Lakota East next week. If East wins against Fairfield tonight, East and West will play, to my knowledge, for the first time week 10 for the GMC outright championship. But
Wow.
Colerain shut down a pretty good Hamilton offense. So that was last week. Tonight in the Skyline Chili Crosstown Showdown, we head to Kentucky. Dixie Heights hosting Ryle. This is a really good Class 6A district game, unofficially the district title game. Last year, Ryle got him in the regular season. Dixie got him in the postseason. Two good teams on both sides of the ball, so that should be a good one tonight. Remember, at X-Town Showdown for anything and everything that is the Skyline Chili Crosstown Showdown.
I'm looking forward to that East-West matchup. I live in that area, and it is so crazy up there when this game comes up. And if they're both undefeated going into this, it's just going to be nuts. So I'm looking forward to that matchup.
Yeah.
But what else is going on this week?
Lots going on this week. Moeller and St. Xavier travel to Northeast Ohio. This is on Saturday. Moeller takes on Good Luck. Number 1, Lakewood St. Edward. St. X travels, takes on Cleveland St. Ignatius. Turpin is at Kings tonight in the ECC. Kings still undefeated. Kings holding a one-game edge over Anderson, which hosts Loveland. Reading at Marymount. Also Wyoming and Indian Hill on the road. Indian Hill's gotten hot after gotten off to a slow start. The Braves, Wyoming looking for another undefeated regular season. They're just ridiculous. In the SWAC, 3-0 Ross in the league at 3-0 Edgewood. That's at Edgewood Middle School. That'll be for that league title. How about Hughes against Taft at Stargell Stadium? Both Hughes having a great year. So's Withrow. Taft is always strong. Look at this. I'm pulling out some Southwestern Buckeye League for you. Eaton at Valley View. Eaton is 8-0 and undefeated. Also in Northern Kentucky, Cov Cap at Highlands in that annual Class 5A district game. Highlands has lost 4 of the last 5. They're 4-4. Cov Cap 4-3. And then don't forget, Nick, week 9. This is the final week of the regular season.
Right.
In Indiana, I should say. East Central's at Indianapolis. Ron Colley, the defending 4A state champ. So a little barometer check. Ron Colley's undefeated, came here and beat Elder recently. And South Dearborn's at Lawrenceburg. So they start playoffs next week. Next week's week 10 in Ohio, then postseason. And then in Kentucky, they actually have 2 weeks. They do 11 weeks to play 10 games. So they'll start postseason a week later. I'd be remiss if I didn't. We try to point out some individual accomplishments. How about this quarterback at St. X, Brogan Mackay? He's a senior. Get a load of these numbers, Nick. Playing the schedule that St. X plays, he's completed 71.2% of his passes for 1,737 yards, 21 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
That is mind-boggling.
Zero.
That's
it's
crazy.
In 6 of 8 games, he's thrown 3 or more TD passes. And again, now granted, they've got a good line, they've got good skill kids, but nonetheless, against that schedule to not be intercepted at all, pretty incredible.
That's very impressive. And eye-popping numbers that, again, I couldn't even fathom. You don't even see that. You don't see that in really any league that being that successful.
No, you don't, and especially in the GCL South, and especially against this. They played Lakota West week 1. They played Cleveland. They played Louisville Trinity. That's their only loss by 1 point. They'll play Cleveland St. Ignatius this week. So can you imagine if he goes through the regular season, doesn't throw an INT? I probably jinxed him now, but nonetheless,
way to go.
Regardless, what he's done to this point, pretty incredible. This is a big football weekend. Isn't it cool to be talking high school Friday? UC football. And
I love Kentucky. I talked about this in sports. Kentucky can actually help UC out in a big way. I mean, it's going to be a tough task to go into Georgia and take them down. But if they somehow manage it, I think they're a 21.5-point favorite. You got to think that actually solidifies, if UC wins out the rest of the season, that solidifies their playoff spot.
Well, Nick, think about this. Has there ever been a time, and the answer is no, when ESPN has debated coming to UC or involving a Kentucky game for College Game Day? I mean, that was the debate. Do we go to UCF at UC, or do we go to UK Georgia? They took UK Georgia. I wonder if the weather forecast had any bearing on that, or just the game itself. But nonetheless, you're right. I mean, these two programs, you got Ohio State up I-71, but UC, they're there. All they can do is win out, try to win impressively. You can talk about schedule all you want, but I just think if you win every game, and I think last year's performance against Georgia in that game makes them an even greater candidate to be in the college football playoff, despite what all the pundits and prognosticators think of the AAC. They can't do anything about that. All they can do is win and just let the play on the field do the talking.
Yeah, UC playing UCF on Saturday. That's a noon kickoff. UC is actually favored 21.5 points in that, so hopefully they can meet those expectations, if not beat them. That would be awesome. And then if we've got Joe Burrow, who has a throat contusion, which I'm still confused about, going up to Detroit for a 3-game road trip. You got to figure Detroit, then you go into Baltimore, then you got the Jets. You get 2 out of 3, then that's a successful road trip.
Well, Nick, you go 2 out of 3 on this road, and you wind up 5-3 at the almost midway point of the season. I think any fan would take that. But don't look past Detroit. I mean, Baltimore needed a 66-yard field goal from Justin Tucker to win against the Lions. Last week at home, Minnesota needed a late field goal to beat the Lions. So, look, they're not very good. They're 0-5. It's a game the Bengals should win. But they've been somewhat competitive. So then you go to Baltimore. Then you go to the Jets. You just hope Joe Burrow can stay healthy. I've never heard of that either. And somebody from the Cleveland Browns suffered that same injury. I've never heard of it once, let alone multiple times. So anyway, hope the Bengals take care of business. Who would have ever thought we'd be saying that about a road game for the Bengals take care of business, because they're the better team. So we'll take what we get. Hopefully rain, storms hold off tonight for high school football. Tomorrow, big win for the Bearcats to keep that playoff hope alive. And Bengals, another win. I think anybody out there would take 4-2.
4-2 does look pretty good on that schedule. Tom, appreciate you taking the time, as always, every Friday to get us up to date on everything going on in the high school football world. And we'll talk with you again next week, sir.
Sounds great, Nick. And the best part is nobody gets lost going to their high school football game tonight. Thanks
that
to
is
High
true.
School Uber. So happy travels, and I hope everybody gets to enjoy a good game tonight. Appreciate it, Nick. Have a great weekend.
You too.